The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Charles Lejano. The Education Department is looking to kick off the resumption of face-to-face classes by next month. To give us more details on this, we now have Jen Calimon. She's reporting to us live from Malabon City. Jen, good afternoon. Could you tell us how many public and private schools will be participating in this pilot run of face-to-face classes?
Yes, Charles, out of those 59 schools which passed the assessment of the Department of Health, only 30 will push through with the pilot run. These 30 schools passed the school self-assessment tool of the Department of Education. Now, those which did not pass were either didn't get the approval of their LGUs, communities, or parents, or their areas had high cases of COVID-19. However, the DepEd said that they are currently revalidating other nominated schools, so more schools can be included in the pilot run on November 15. Charles?
Right, so under what grade levels are the students that will be allowed to attend face-to-face classes, and are there any special qualifications?
Yes, Charles. Students in kinder to grade 3 for elementary and TVL track for senior high schools are part of the pilot run. So learners must have parents' consent and they should have no comorbidities, Charles.
How about teachers and school personnel? Are all of them required to be vaccinated?
Yes, Charles. Vaccination among teaching and non-teaching personnel who will be part of the pilot run is mandatory. So out of 444 total personnel who are included in the pilot run, 317 have received either first or second dose. The Department of Education and National Task Force on COVID-19 have agreed to accelerate the vaccination for teachers, for teaching and non-teaching personnel. Charles?
Jen, I understand that the pilot run will start on November 15. Until when will this be, and do we have any news on what comes next?
Yes, Charles. So the duration of this pilot run is for 2 months. So it will last until January. Then after which, there will be an evaluation of the effectiveness of the pilot run. If it is indeed effective, then they will push through with the expansion on February next year, Charles.
Jen, let's say, for example, a student or a teacher tests positive for COVID-19 in the middle of this pilot run. Are there any parameters or any contingency plans for, say, early termination of this program?
Yes, Charles. One of the requirements of participating schools in this pilot run is that they should have a contingency plan in case someone gets infected. Now, depending on the recommendation and risk assessment of the Department of Health and also the IATF, the Department of Education can terminate the program in a particular school in case a surge or several people will get infected in a particular school. Charles?
Thanks for that, Jen. That was Jen Calimon reporting live from Malabon. An infectious disease expert reminds the public to continue observing minimum health protocols despite the further easing of restrictions in Metro Manila. On One News is the Chiefs, Dr. Ron Jean Solante said the public must not be complacent, noting that most hospitals are still operating near total capacity. Although COVID-19 infections are slowly declining, Solante warns that ICU occupancy is still reaching the 70 to 90% level, mostly because of severe cases.
Most of those admitted are really the severe critical and the vulnerable population. So I agree somewhat with the Philippine Hospital Association na medyo hindi pa natin nakikita talaga yung tinatawag natin na medyo nakakaluwang-luwang na tayo. And that in itself, dapat hindi pa rin tayo maging complacent. And we really still have to be on our guard in terms of the health protocols.
Meanwhile, the Metro Manila Council admits that additional guidelines need to be made to allow more mobility for minors under Alert Level 3. MMDA Chairman Benher Abalos told Radyo 5's Filon that minors are currently allowed to leave their homes and travel based on the rules under the current alert level. However, he admits some conditions may apply in certain areas, including indoor establishments such as malls. Abalos says the Metro Manila mayors may announce more specific guidelines later today.
Pagbasa ko, allowed na naman sila no? Allowed silang bumiyahe. Pero sinasabi lang dito naman na pwedeng lagyan ng kondisyon ng Metro Manila Mayor. So technically, maski yung araw na to, pwedeng ibahi po yung bata, no? Pero mamaya ilalabas namin yung mga kondisyon.
Senate President pro tempore Ralph Recto welcomes the Interior Department's probe into their political convention held in Batangas last week. In an interview with the chiefs, Recto insisted that they organized the event very responsibly, and he also claimed that all attendees practiced physical distancing and have already been vaccinated. Recall that the convention was attended by Acción Democrático standard bearers Isko Moreno and Willie Ong, as well as their senatorial candidates.
I think we've shown that we have a good way of doing it. We followed all health protocols. Libre ang testing dito. So the day before, we offered PCR test to anyone. In fact, lahat pala ng pumunta dito, nakabakuna lahat yun.
People have started flocking to cemeteries with just 10 days left before the scheduled closure. To give us the latest on the ground, we have Mon Gualvez now joining us live from Manila. Mon, good afternoon. What's the situation there so far?
Charles, less than 2 weeks before Undas, the number of people who are visiting here in Manila North Cemetery is already starting to increase. Just like before, officials of the Manila North Cemetery have started implementing strict security and safety protocols. Only the main gate is open for all. Visitors are prohibited from bringing sharp objects such as knives, screwdrivers, ice picks, and firearms. They're also not allowed to bring flammable materials such as lighters, perfumes, alcohol, and gas. The cemetery management also advised the public not to bring alcoholic beverages, playing cards used for gambling, and even bring radio sets or sound system. Authorities check each visitor's body temperature before they are allowed to enter the premises, while COVID marshals are deployed to remind people to strictly follow safety protocols and minimum public health standards, particularly the proper wearing of face masks and maintaining physical distancing. Vehicles, including motorcycles, are not allowed to enter the cemetery anymore except for hearses or funeral vehicles. Burials are still permitted even during the closure of Manila North Cemetery, but only 10 people are allowed to accompany their dearly departed. Earlier, the Metro Manila Council already approved a resolution restricting public access to cemeteries, memorial parks, and columbaria in the coming All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. In resolution number 21-22 dated last October 10, NCR mayors pushed for the closure of public and private cemeteries from October 29 to November 2. This is the second consecutive year that cemeteries will be closed to avoid mass gatherings during Undas. Charles, Manila North Cemetery officials are expecting an influx of people who are visiting or who will visit their departed loved ones in the coming days. Around 10 to 15,000 individuals per day are said to be expected to pay a visit days before the closure of the cemetery. Charles.
Thanks for that, Mon. That was Mon Gualvez reporting live from Manila. The PBA Philippine Cup Finals will kick off tomorrow with TNT Tropang Giga facing the Magnolia Hotshots. Game 1 of the best-of-7 finals is scheduled on Wednesday, 6 p.m. The two teams will clash again in Game 2 on Friday, 6 p.m., as well as on Sunday for Game 3, scheduled at 4:35 p.m. The PBA says they will later announce additional schedules for the finals. Here's a quick look at some of today's headlines. Presidential aspirants, Vice President Leni Robredo and Senator Bato de la Rosa, both visited Marawi yesterday. Numbers continue to improve in the metro, but experts warn another surge in COVID-19 infections is still possible. And for the 8th straight week, another big-time oil price hike takes effect today. And those are the top stories at this hour. Join us later at 2 p.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Just register for a free account at www.signalplay.com so you can stream One News live anytime and anywhere. I'm Charles Lejano. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.